Hello everyone and welcome to another special episode of Film Room here for WomboXCombo Plus, and I'm Pao. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. If you don't know him by now, I don't know where you've been watching Dota for the last, how long has it been since you've been in the scene? Since Dota 1, Dota 2. Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest for today is Jimmy Ho, otherwise known as Demon.
It's me.
Yeah. How are you, my man?
I'm good. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me here.
That's no problem. We're very happy that you agreed for this. Again, for Film Room, what we want to do is we want to look at some really key games from your past, sort of get a look into what's going on in your mind, some of the plays, and maybe learn a little history along the way. So before we start, there's a new thing I want to do for this particular Film Room, just because you're such a larger-than-life sort of personality, very enduring personality in Dota. I want to ask a little bit about your personal life. I know you've been probably asked a lot of these from past interviews, but I want to start in a particular spot. How have you found yourself back in a Filipino team, back in Filipino soil after the whole TI6 TNC run?
I think it was just the lackluster of finding the right team in NA after our whole Digital Chaos 2.0 run. We kind of like dissolved after that and didn't have a team in December and January. I was in talks with Armel and Gabby in terms of deciding what region I'll be participating in. There was a potential South America run. And it was actually a very hard decision, and in the end, things didn't really fall through. And Gabby found a new opportunity here with a new organization. We had a good boot camp. He told me everything, and he says, are you interested? And I said, yeah, well, I didn't give an immediate answer, but it was a very difficult, decision for myself because, it's like being away from my family and also my girlfriend at the time. And I had a choice, to be home, to be with them, or to do this as another run in Southeast Asia. And the last time I came here it was very difficult because I probably became a little depressed, just being homesick and everything. It's not easy, I wouldn't recommend this for everyone, especially when I had to leave my girlfriend just to pursue my career, and it was probably one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make. And yeah.
So it's another round of sacrifice for you coming back here. And just to be clear, we're talking about Admiral, your new team,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And we're talking about Admiral right now. You're with Boombox, Gabby, RR, and I believe Ben-Hur.
Yes.
Right. Because the trade happened between Ben-Hur and Armel. Armel is out of TNC.
Armel ditched us. He went next door.
He went next door, right. So right now you're with Admiral. The last time you were here, I think you had a very nice thought coming into it. It was shared, I think you said it was shared to you by a very close friend. Are you here to live or are you here to win? Has that mindset changed now that you're going in with Admiral? Because it seems like you're having or at least you've committed a bigger sacrifice.
Yeah, this time around it's a much bigger sacrifice. I'm trying to live my life still and trying to make friends, so you don't have to be because back home it's hard to communicate all the time, so you want to have friends here so you don't have to feel sad or lonely. And it's just playing Dota all the time, it's not the fact that it gets boring, it's just you want to have a reality, a real world, you know,
like a life outside of Dota, just to keep you sane.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do to keep myself sane. And last time I did that with TNC, even though it was only for a couple months, it's my team, they're teammates, and some of them were considered actual friends too. But it wasn't easy, and this time around it's not any easier. It's actually much harder this time around, not only with the competition and much more sacrifice that has been involved.
Right. So I mean, just looking at some of your, I think people see your tweets online and they know that you're friends with Cuckoo, friends with Tim's, and friends with those guys. Do you find the time to hang out at all? I mean, I know that DPC right now, it's a really crazy schedule, especially when you have to go through all of these qualifiers. How do you find the time?
I mean, I'm actually only friends with, I thought I was much closer with Raven. I haven't really talked to him or seen him. I've only seen Cuckoo. Actually, like, I'm a godfather of his kid, and I brought him a gift from home, and she was pretty happy because he sent me a video of her playing with like the toys and all that. So that's pretty cool. I see Cuckoo from time to time. But yeah, whenever we have time, we just like we'll probably hang out. A little bit. I mean, they live right next to us, right next door. So, and
which we cannot say.
I'm not gonna say that, of course.
Yeah. But so that's great. I mean, obviously the sacrifice is much steeper this time around, and what has changed though from Demon in 2016 to Demon right now?
I think the 2016 Demon was probably on the brink of his career, where it was his last run with TNC. If he wasn't going to make TI, he was going to retire then. And honestly, there was a lot of luck involved, and I think we figured out the patch and the best play style for our team. I was glad that the team gave me an opportunity to lead them, something I've never really done, and captain this team. Like we failed round of 64 on the first open qualifier, and then that was with AU captaining and drafting because he's been their captain for a long time, and a foreigner just can't come in and take the team.
Right.
Then we had a long talk, and our manager, Pao, he talked to them and was like, Jimmy came a long way to do this, and you should give him a chance and trust him. He's an experienced player, and he knows a lot, and he's been to multiple TIs. And the team gave me their trust, and I failed multiple times. I'm not gonna lie, but in the end, like, we somehow pulled through. And some games I felt were pretty lucky, but we worked hard and we believed in each other. And after doing it, we played Fnatic in the first round or first day of the group stage. Like, we finished like around 2 a.m. and we had to wake up at, like, our game was like at 10 a.m. so it was a pretty ridiculous schedule that we had. But that's like the benefits of being invited and playing open qualifiers, right?
Right. That was the grind. I remember because you guys were right below us at the time in the condo building where the games were being played. Mm-hmm. And we were surprised because we knew you guys were up, and then in the morning you guys had to fight immediately.
Yes, yeah.
Fnatic out of the gate.
So
how did that feel though?
It felt good. I mean, I remember I said, like, Fnatic is the best team here. If we beat them, we will get first seed. I promise you guys this. Like, I'm very confident in it. And Fnatic gave us our best strategy and our best draft, and we ended up beating them. And then we ended up taking first seed and making it to TI.
All right. So we're gonna talk about that right now. Actually, we have a few games lined up. Some of these we picked ourselves, and some of this comes from a little earlier in your career. This is DreamHack Winter 12. It was the finals against No Tidehunter. You were on EG, and No Tidehunter, for people who don't know, will eventually be known as Alliance. Right now we're watching the game at 1 minute and 8 seconds in. You can see EG coming out. So what can you tell me about this game?
So we already 1-0'd them. There was a big 3-hour break in between, and this game was played around 12:30 or 12, like at midnight, and it was like we were super duper exhausted. So it actually gave them a big break time to a point where I personally feel like they had time to analyze us, watch our replays. But like, with the 1-0 lead, they get to recuperate on their, like after being 1-0, like you're kind of emotional, you're kind of tilted, whatever it is. And I know like Envy really studied this, our strat, like throughout this whole tournament. We almost checked Roshan, I think 80% of our games.
Right.
And I think this is where they formulated this strategy where
I see.
And they baited us where Bulldog would suicide into Roshan. They're like, oh, because like, we were very reluctant to do this because we're like, we do this every game, and I don't really think they're going to do it because they should know that we've been checking Roshan almost every single game. Yet Bulldog suicided. You can see like we were very hesitant, and as soon as he suicided, we all immediately reacted, and that was where the bait was. But the fact that if we just did our lanes accordingly, none of us would have died, and like if they can't take Roshan, and that's basically what happened, and they got 2 kills out of it.
So multiple levels of mind games here. Like the level 1 thinking is that, okay, they always check Roshan. What can we do to bait them into it? And on you guys, you're already like halfway into level 2 where you were thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. But the moment that happened, so what was going on inside? I assume this was in a booth or at least in the gaming area. What were you guys talking about the moment it happened? The moment everything went down?
As soon as we checked and we saw Roshan, we're like, oh shit, we're getting baited. Like everyone's like, okay, so it's kind of like a panic moment.
Right.
And as soon as we turn around, we see them and we're like, okay, just to split up and not everyone should die here. And we just cut our losses short, kind of thing. And that's pretty much what happened.
They get 2 kills. Milk goes down first.
Yeah.
And so the rest of this game, I believe, like you said, you guys could have operated off of the momentum of 1-0ing them, but since they recuperated, I believe they were able to turn this around. What happened to you guys, to EG and to No Tidehunter after this game?
After the game? Well, I mean, let me think. Because I remember when we still sat down, we were playing, because like I said, there was like a 3-hour break, and I think we were still kind of jet lagged. In our practice rooms, everyone was like sleeping, and they're like, "Okay, guys, it's game time." We're like, "Oh, okay." Like, we were drinking our energy drinks and everything, and it was just this first game. But after this game, I remember it's like we were like more awake in game 3. But I remember, like I said, it's like after you lose a game, it's like pretty demoralizing, and you're kind of tilted. And I think our draft was fine, but it's just like it was a lack of focus, and in the end, it's like NTH ended up becoming the DreamHack champions here.
Right. So there was something you told me before we started. Actually, there was an interesting turning point history-wise with this win for NTH. Can you bring that back for me?
Oh yeah, I remember. I don't know. S4 kind of me and S4 are like really cool, like friends, like good friends, and he always would mess around, like because what happened in game 3 is like I fed crazy. I was like 1v1 versus like Bulldog. It was like Furion versus. I forgot what he was playing, but then S4 was co-op, and he ganked me once, and then he camped my lane, and he killed me again, and then the third time he just came back. He killed me 3 times in a row. It's like, like with Furion, you die, you TP back, you die again, you use your TP scroll to come back, and the third time it's like the walk of shame.
Right, you have to walk.
And he would always clown on me for this, and it's like I actually retired from Furion ever since then. Like
since then.
Yeah, I may have stopped offlane as a whole because like like S4 he killed my confidence, man. That guy.
Ooh.
But I remember he said, it's like because of that, because of our win here, it gave us a lot of momentum, and Alliance. There's a chance Alliance wouldn't have been the same Alliance if it wasn't for their DreamHack win.
Right. Because after this, this is the No Tidehunter team. They weren't Alliance at the time yet. They still had Eternal Envy.
Yeah.
But you're saying after this win, it gave them the confidence to keep going, keep pushing for it?
Yeah. I don't know about the whole thing with Envy exactly, the whole story to be correct, but I believe like there's a chance of him getting removed already because like Loda, and I don't know if it's Loda and the rest of the team that wanted an all Swedish lineup, but regardless, like the team wanted an all Swede lineup. And because they won, I assume because they won the tournament, they kept them on still, and they played another tournament in like December, and they got 2nd place, and I think that's when Envy was removed, and after that, that's when they became Alliance, somewhere like mid-December or early January, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind-boggling to me because just watching this game, had you guys won this game, would Alliance have had the confidence to keep going and then eventually crush DI? Do you think that could have been something that was a turning point in history?
I mean, it could have been a lot different for us too, right? We would have built a lot of confidence for our team and ourselves, and potentially even been invited to TI3.
Right.
But instead, it's like we had a huge fallout. I think everyone was like super emo after this. We didn't even play for like a whole month because then winter, Christmas came,
right?
And then I think January is when we started picking things up again. But if I remember correctly, like it was a pretty tough loss on us just because we felt very confident. We had like good strategies coming to this tournament. We felt we had a huge confidence boost. We were doing well in NA, and then coming here, we're doing really well in the group stages and going into the playoffs as well. We actually beat Navi, who were one of the favorites too,
to win the entire thing.
And we never beat Navi, that's the thing. And we beat Navi, and Navi's Navi, right?
Right.
So I mean, it was
especially this is around 2012, 2013, entering 2013. Navi's golden age.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting for me. This is the old EG lineup, guys. If you're not familiar, so it had BDIZ, it had Fear, Milk, you, and I believe Jo.
Jo, yeah.
Right. I believe Jo, who is going to be familiar for most of our audience over here. So just to run it a little bit back, this made you retire off lane? Because I remember this. You were Suicide Lane. It was Suicide Lane.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
called Suicide Lane at the time. So how does one transition then? Since you didn't play for a while, did you go straight to support after this, or?
No, actually, no. I still played. I think I still played a couple mid heroes and a little bit on offlane. He just made me retire off Furion, but
Right.
so my pool got smaller.
Right.
Because yeah, TI4.
I believe TI4.
I still played offlane. After TI4, I went to support, and the transition was not easy at all.
So let's close out this particular clip right now. We're looking at 5 minutes in. Is there any other point in the game you sort of remember in this particular game?
Honestly, not entirely. It's been such a long time, and
Yeah, that's
like a
fair.
lot of it, I just erased from my memory, I guess you could say.
Before we go to TI4, I want to ask about that, by the way, because in past interviews, you said that after your removal from EG, that was sort of your exile period from NA Dota.
No.
Was that the one?
I think after TI3, that's when I got removed off the team. I had another opportunity around December, was when they reformed the team with Fear, Zai, PPD, Arteezy.
So
And
Sad
then-
Boys-ish.
Sad Boys,
Yeah.
and then like it was kind of between me and Universe, but I think it ended up being like they decided Universe 100% because that's when I was kind of practicing the support role, and me and PPD like we didn't click at all as support duo, and Zai was gonna play the offlane,
Right.
and then Universe ended up getting the slot, of course. So I was pretty bummed out then, because of course like management really wanted me, and I really wanted to rejoin them because they were kind of like family as well. But things, of course, didn't work out. And then that's when I had an opportunity I stood in for a couple teams then in between. And from there, I had an opportunity to stand in for Liquid, and they eventually recruited me because they had troubles with one of their players.
So we're going to go into 2014 now, and we're going to go straight into the international. We're going to look at Arrow versus Liquid. Before we start, what was up with the Pegasus name change?
Oh man, I kind of regret it now, but it was.
We're looking at it right now. I mean, I'm gonna be frank with you. I've been following you since Dota 1, since the old TDAs.
Yeah.
Man, I used to be a TDA mod, and it's just so weird for me to see you on Pegasus.
Well, I mean, I kind of got sponsored by Red Bull before Liquid, and Liquid is a horse, and it's a horse with wings.
Okay.
So, Pegasus.
It's a horse with wings. All right.
So this was our last game, and it was against Arrow Gaming. Obviously, their record was like something like 1-13 or 1-14 already.
Right.
And we are their last game, so they were obviously the worst team of the tournament, alongside with Navi US with a similar score.
RV, North American Rejects.
Yeah.
Picked up.
And Arrow actually beat them too, so that's the funny
Right,
part about
yeah.
it. That's their only one win. And so obviously we're like, oh, this is gonna be easy win here, but it's like, let's not be too cocky and humble ourselves a little bit. And I remember that there was a lot of stress in this game, how much this game was worth. This game was worth like $500,000.
Right.
I remember like we would talk about that nonstop, and that's not something that you want to talk about and bring up constantly. But the fact that it was like us, newbie,
It was a three-way tie?
Titan, four-way.
Four-way tie.
It wasn't even a tie. That's why it didn't make sense how Valve, like when it happened when we lost, they were actually very indecisive on how they wanted to do this tiebreaker, because the scores were like 8-7, 8-7, and then 7-8, 7-8, the 4 teams, which was, I remember now. So it's Liquid, Newbie, Navi, and Titan.
Right.
And 2 of the teams had 8-7 score, but the fact if we actually won this game, we would be 9-6.
Right.
And we were secured not upper bracket, but we would have been secured
Into the
top
playoff,
8.
yeah.
100%. But we ended up losing this game, and we had to play this crazy bubble race tiebreaker. And it's fun. It's kind of funny because if we won, I believe that would have left another team 8-7, and the other 2 teams would be 7-8, 7-8, and we would be 9-6. So I think us 2 would have been advanced.
Right.
And
the lower seeded one
and Newbie would have been eliminated and wouldn't have won.
wouldn't have won TI4. I think that was particularly surprising to me when you brought it up a while ago when we were choosing the clips we were going to use today. right now we're watching it at 2 minutes in, and you can see you guys were just running the map down. I mean, TC on Razor was just out of his lane, just executing Mozen right there. So, how did you guys feel after that? Like,
as you can see, we feel very confident. You know, we're like, we were just laughing. I remember we laughed a lot during this game because you know, we're just killing these guys. Like, just kill this guy, just fucking chase his ass down. And it's like, you know, the supports, like our game plan this patch was about the 2 supports, Boba and Way 2. They would roam my lane and snowball my lane and make sure that I guarantee to have a good lane. And from there, it's like a snowball effect, right? You know, my Tidehunter would have like Ravage timing around 7 minutes and Mech timing maybe around 10 minutes. And from there, we can just
no one can kill you, no one can engage into you.
We just 5-man and we just push these towers down. And then like OD or Razor can just farm and kind of like split push as well. And while we 4-man, you know, 4 protect 1 kind of thing or whatever.
Definitely. So this is for people who are, you know, maybe not familiar with the history around this patch. This patch started out very differently, around the summit, and then people figured out around during TI, maybe we can just 4 or 5-man our way into the game as long as we snowball an initiator or we snowball a mid lane sometimes if they had a Razor. So.
Yeah, you can see it's like this game. I remember it's like my lane was so easy. It's like I have 15 CS at 3 minutes, and I have 3 heroes are on top, and I was like completely free farming, and I didn't rush this important arcane boots, and I just went for 7-minute Midas here. If you want.
So you went for the 7-minute Midas around 6 minutes. You have the
I got
Midas.
a 6-minute Midas actually.
Right.
Holy crap. It's even better.
That's even better.
But that's not better. You know, it's not good. So it feels like, you know, when you have these arcane, now it's like, how can my supports pressure the lane? What am I gonna do? So they basically supported me and helped snowball my lane so I can farm more. And I'm not the carry of the team. You know, my items are not really gonna be game changing at all. And it's something that I've never really done in practice. I did it once in one practice game. And we stomped the games completely hard. But this is like a tournament game, and where I felt like this hurt the team quite a bit. It's like, you know, I get my level 6, I get my arcane boots, and I usually would call my supports over to my lane.
So you can make a play.
We move a core over, and we take a tier 1 quickly.
But because you have the Midas, you can't really apply that kind of pressure.
Yeah, and Boba usually tries to like formulate everything, but he's like probably clicking on me and is like, wow, we have a Tidehunter. Like I even asked the team if I should go Midas, and they kind of said it's like up to you. And it's like, it is kind of like, it's my decision, right? They're not going to micro me and let me know how I should be playing my hero. So it's reasonable on what happened. But then it's just like, now it's like, it just feels awkward to really play with the Midas right now, because I just want to be farming, but it's like now I'm kind of forced to wanting to do a play, and it's really conflicting and confusing what we should really be doing.
You don't really have the battle stats to apply that kind of pressure, and so it's kind of a sort of a paranoia effect. You want to do one way, or schizophrenic effect, you want to go one way, your items are built another. So, I mean, as this game plays out, I kind of want to ask, you said something really interesting, you know, where your teammates aren't really going to, well, you go for a play over here, but where you said that
I don't think we're gonna do it.
You don't get him. You don't get him. Oh, Mozen gets out. Okay, you get him. All right, he's dead. I guess, would it have been easier with an arcane boots?
It's not about that, but it's like right now it's like I'm very limited on mana, right? And clarities weren't a very big thing back then. You know, like how everyone now is just spamming clarities and clarities and clarities, and this is just like, you would have your arcane boots and you would just like, it's about not just that, but it's like when you have these arcane boots, you can pressure the lane much easier and be like super aggressive, but now it's like, of course I'm low mana and everything, but like I would heal. But it's like you can just keep constantly pushing the lane and just force.
You constantly have a presence in the lane.
And force pressure, meaning like one person always has to be there to defend or whatever. Like, you know, Midas was about like 2,000 gold, right? So like if you did like, it was, arcane boots was like 900 at the time. So I would actually be about 1,000 more, about, you know, 500, 600 away from, so I'd have arcane boots around like 11 minutes, if anything. Arcane blink, or either arcane blink or like arcane mech around maybe 12 minutes in. That would be our timing, and maybe even earlier, because I was like completely free farming.
You were completely free farming.
But it's just like I said, it hurt our game quite a bit because of this, and just feels like our pace of the game, it's much slower. And then of course OD is going to guaranteed to be already getting a Midas. You can see his net worth is almost double of the Invoker. Like we completely like destroyed this game. Their offlaner hasn't really been getting anything either.
But because of that, it sort of slowed down your pace, right?
Yeah, because my mindset, my mentality right now is like I kind of want to be farming. I don't really want to be pressuring, but normally the way I'd be playing, it's like if I either rush the Blink Dagger or the mech this game, it's like I can constantly be pressuring and pressuring, but instead you can see I'm watching myself on the mini-map, the purple color there, he's just hitting neutrals rather than pushing out the lane.
Right.
And that's the problem, right?
It gives Arrow a lot of time, a lot of pressure relieved away from them, and Lance, over here we're following Lance right now, and just gives him some time to get his items.
You can see like top lane, I'm supposed to be there, but then I think Bulba, like you can see he's kind of running up there because he feels like, why is there no one top lane? Why is my Tidehunter hitting neutral creeps rather than pressuring this lane? And now, because Arrow feels like there's no pressure on top, they can make this kind of play and make this rotation on bottom, right?
And Way 2 here is going to get caught out and killed.
But if, say they still make this play, they would lose their tier 1 on top.
Right.
And because of that, it's like there's zero pressure. They have a Skywrath. Skywrath is not pressure, right? It's like the Tidehunter kind of pressures, and that was a very big problem here.
So with this particular game, it sticks out to you because of obviously the implications afterwards, right? But is this one of those games where it sort of became as a reminder, like a learning experience for you? Like, okay, I will never do that again, or?
Oh, most definitely. I of course thought about it for quite some time, and I was very sad that I let my team down in this aspect. There's a lot of other games that we've lost in this tournament, but it's like I think everyone had a fair share of you can say kind of blame, but this one it's like he can actually single a person out. Like, why is this Tidehunter just hitting neutral creeps? Why is he getting a bottle? Why is he just he hasn't done anything. It's 12 minutes now, and I talked to you about like this whole arcane boots, mech, or blink timing that I would have already, but instead it's just not possible.
It's a bottle in the farming item. So wow, I mean that's really interesting. Now just going back into it, just looking back into your career like this, I want to transition into a question though, because I think this game will play out. Arrow will win. You guys will go into phase 3, which is a must win for you guys. And you guys end up 10th place, right? I believe
9-10,
yeah, 9th, 10th place. There's a phrase in Dota phraseology called Classic Jimmy. I think it's a good segue into that right now. We have a clip over here, and it's a very old clip published in 2015, I believe. It's a bunch of other pros, especially NA pros, saying what they think Classic Jimmy means to them. And now we're watching our tour.
So you never know what he's gonna do. That means that he does stupid moves.
It's Puppy right now.
Come on.
Classic Jimmy is diving tier 3.
Whitebeard, another person you played with a lot, I believe.
And it's also
Played against a lot.
These are all former teammates of mine.
Right.
Like I've played everyone that's done this was everyone that I've played with.
Classic Jimmy as
VSJ?
something where you're looking
my
for
friend.
him going, please don't do this, please don't do this. It's like, all right, let's do this. No, I'm gonna try to do something crazy. And then it either ends up being him causing 3 of us to die, or it's him drawing 4 people towards him, getting a double kill or a triple kill, and then dying eventually, but suddenly you just realize you took 2 towers during this minute-long chase.
The Classic Jimmy that
There you go. There's you.
he really knows me for is clowny, throwy, making big plays that either work or they don't. It's changed, it's developed into something more stable, more consistent. But every now and then you still have the old Classic Jimmy that's coming out. So it's just
true.
There you go.
Yeah, I kind of had that stigma on me for quite some time, and I tried to like furnish it, you can say, just
Sort of own it.
yeah, like I own the name. I kind of hated it for a little bit, but then I was like, it's kind of part of me. I'll accept it. Like I said, it was a stigma rather than being like bad. It's like I wanted to make it improvise and making it look better. And
Right.
I didn't want to be that flashy player anymore. I wanted to become more of a stable player. At the time, in my early days, it was just like the skill gap was very different, and I felt like at the time I was like, one of the top players in the world. And as time progressed, it was just like people were getting better, and either I was just getting worse or I wasn't practicing hard enough and I was messing around too much rather than constantly try to
Sharpening those skills.
Sharpening my skills, yeah, and bettering myself as a player. So.
Right. The next clip that we're going to show you, it's going to be from the TI 6 days. And this is, I think, one of the clips that a lot of people have been waiting for. You're going to remember this time. This is TI 6 So you guys, TNC Pro Team versus Wings Gaming. So TNC Pro Team, you don't remember drafting Io here, but TNC Pro Team, you have Io, the Axe, Keeper the Light, Phantom, Lancer, Naga Siren. Against Wings' Drow strategy. They ran this even at ESL 1 Manila. So Drow, Medusa, Wind Ranger, Night Stalker, and the Dazzle.
Yeah. Oh, we actually got first blood here too.
Yeah,
I barely remember this one. Yeah, this is epic. So if I recall, like Wings was the one that kind of innovated this Drow strat that came in. Like there was a tournament, I think it might have been the Summit or something.
Right.
And we felt very confident that they're likely to run this Drow strat. And how I was thinking is like it's not going to be easy to push if I'm going to be playing a Coddle and we can play this like split push game and with illusion hero.
Right.
Like I don't know, I call it like an illusion hero strat, and kind of like ended up working out. Like it's like very difficult to deal with, right, with the Drow Ranger and especially a Dusa when eventually Naga and both Naga PL is good against Dusa because they're gonna get the diffusals,
right.
And of course Coddle, it's like I think he's one of the greatest counter to Dusa where he can't even move and he has mana leak on him. And if you have mana leak with illusion heroes on top of Dusa, it's like what is he gonna do?
Right.
And this is pre-talents, talents did not exist at this time, so it's just like with the talents now I think Dusa can actually deal with the illusions.
Right.
And it's a whole different Dusa game now, but back then it's just like it was just much
It was a
easier
hard
to deal
counter.
with.
Like
Yeah.
Mana Break was such a big counter against them. When you approached this game, were you specifically like really afraid of Wings? Like obviously Wings, again they had a really good summer, right? They snowballed off of winning ESL 1 Manila, and then after that they had an okay showing at Manila Major, but then they won the Summit.
I think for myself, I wasn't afraid of any team because I believed in this team. I believed in TNC, I believed in the players, and I felt so confident coming into this tournament. I mean, it's something probably very small, and I judge a lot off scrims, but the fact like, in the C region, we probably had like a 90% win rate.
Right.
We actually played EG on a US server, two of them as well.
Oh, wow.
And I think these were like all confidence boosters coming into the tournament. For us and as a team, and which is why like I said, even though they're just scrims, it's like a huge confidence boost for us. Even though we felt like the underdogs, it just feels a lot better because everyone's going to underestimate us. But I had some good ideas, and I knew how to enable these players. Like I didn't want to play like any Dota style. It's
Right.
like I knew this TNC guys, they like to play hyper aggressive, and that's one thing that Chinese teams couldn't deal with.
Right.
Just
They
playing
sort of
fast paced.
struggle, yeah.
They like to play this passive type of game, and for us, it's just like we're fine. We can just run at you. We don't care. We didn't care about like fog of war or anything. We had our
Nighttime
own thing. Yeah.
vision or night vision.
Yeah, like they had this Night Stalker, and we just grouped up and we just balled this 5 and just ran at them.
Right.
And that's why this game felt pretty easy. This was really close. That was so clutch by Sam there as well.
Yeah, just jumps in at the last moment.
I remember watching that. I think it was like barely enough just to have that calling there, and it was like super big, and we were just like screaming because we were getting destroyed right now, kind of like 8-4, 8-3, and then like Sam gets his blink timing, and he's like super clutch everywhere, and like he's just trying to make plays with AU coming with IO when we initiate with the Axe, and
He's gonna call back, and
it's clutch.
Andrew.
Yeah, Sam was like super clutch in a lot of our series. Everyone played their role perfectly this game, I felt.
So do you think TNC is one of those teams that are like one of the best teams you've been with? Because you have glowing praises for them every time, like in interviews that I've observed, and they've also given you like this TI6 run, and obviously it was a really high emotional moment. It was the first time you went out of NA region just to really play Dota. What do you think about the TNC, your time in TNC, just looking back?
It was an amazing opportunity. It's like good to have players that just believed in me, even though I wasn't really a captain. I came in as a player and I left them as a captain, right? And it's because the players enabled me, and for them to enable me, it's like, they believed and gave me all their trust, and for them to do that, it's like what I can do in turn was just help them in their own ways, and playing better and understanding Dota. When I first actually came into this team, we have the enemy would still have their tier 2s, and I would just see them like we're actually destroying the game, but yet we lose because we have it's like the simple things that it's so crazy, like it's Pinoy Dota, right?
Right,
It's
right.
like they would be diving tier 4s and they would 4 or 5 men die.
Right.
But you know, it's like the thing is I would never back down because they wanted to go in. You know, why not?
Right.
I'm going to join them on
All
this
right,
adventure.
all right, yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to critique them pretty hard after this game and like, you know, guys, does this ever make any sense to you? You know, there's
Right,
not taking
okay.
any it's like the small things, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't recognize this, and look at them now. Look at the team now. It's like they're super.
They have a
duper-
range, right?
Yeah.
They have a range in their game. Before, again, like Pinoy Dota is really like, okay, hyper aggressive. I don't know if you're familiar, but in Filipino Dota parlance, we have this sort of term called intro boys, where you start out really, really strong and then you can't finish out the game. I think TNC lost that like after your time together with them.
So like this idea with like what I was kind of saying, it's like Axe kind of counters the Dazzle too. Then remember this was like one of the favorites during TI was like the Dazzle and Axe kind of thing. Either you're gonna get them both or you kind of get the trade off. And if you're gonna ban one, you're gonna have to ban the other. But then like we just chased down a Dusa with the Mana Leak and then a Naga and a PL hitting them with Axe initiating. And it's just like Dusa can't do anything about it. It's like there's just too many illusions to handle. They're gonna need way too many items. And
here you go. Semi-global strategy between the IO and yourself, calling people.
and then bots on PL as well, right? I
Right.
think he goes bots.
I think he does go bots here after the
Not
defense.
100% sure. I think because Kuku's an active player, he doesn't like farming, so I think he probably went treads. Yeah.
Just so he can fight more.
Yeah.
But so how did you guys feel after you take off a game of Wings, and then of course you had another game against them? They were sort of not really 100% the favorites going into this because OG obviously took down a lot of majors at this time as well. But you know, they were sort of like the people's choice, right? Because they were so fun to root for. But you guys eventually 2-0 them. So how did you guys feel like just after one game?
I mean, we felt very good. I mean, for us, it's like they became very predictable. I mean, of course, I'm gonna credit my coach at the time, Sunbi, who's Secret's coach now.
Right. Yes.
I credit him a lot in terms of the ideas because his role that was not to help the team, but to help me draft.
Right.
And to understand the enemy and what kind of preparation I needed. Because it's like I was playing with the team much longer before he came into the team as a coach. And so like what I needed him to do for us, and he did amazing for us. You know, he helped me draft, came up with the strategies I needed, and identified their strengths and their weaknesses as a team. And he told me, I think he was the one that kind of told me about this, like, you should just give them drow. I think they won't be able to handle this aggression that you guys have. And, you know, I trusted him, and
it worked out.
yeah.
Classic Filipino Dota diving, actual tier 4s, but this time you guys were actually taking down objectives.
As long as you get an objective with it, then it's fine.
Then it's fine. I mean, right now I gotta ask a little bit. You're with another Filipino team. It's Admiral. I guess the experience level has changed since the time you were here, 2016. Obviously, a lot of Filipino teams have been playing against each other. Some of them have learned from you, or at least from other places. Do you think that the complexion of Filipino Dota or Southeast Asian Dota has changed since your first time over here in the region?
Yeah, because there's a lot more Westerners coming in from NA and Europe coming into this region. You know, you have your Envies and kind of Abed because he's been playing in the NA region for almost a year. Who else is there? I mean, you have Universe now coming in, and then you have more other European teams and Euros coming, like Clutch Gamers.
Right.
It's all coming in, so it's like you have a huge. It's much more diverse this time around in terms of like gameplay strategies and so forth. You have more captains around, and then you have the all-star like Mushi's team right within the SK. Mushi Ice Ice Ice.
Mushi Ice Ice Ice, and kind of like classic sort of hybrid with DK, a little bit of old Faceless in there. It's OG versus TNC time.
He really made a big play here. I think he noticed that Fly was gonna, because suiciding was a big thing. He saw him here, and I'm surprised Fly decided to still suicide.
Right.
And AU ends up getting the first blood by sending his summon onto him.
Right.
Right before the suicide, and it snowballed him pretty hard here.
It's a big chunk of change, 428 gold onto AU, just because he denies that from him now.
I remember this. Our game plan this game was, focus on our safe lane because like Moon Meander was like always this kind of like space making hyper aggressive off laner, and he got stuck there. It's pretty unfortunate death. But to focus on if you pick a strong safe lane, you can just try to kill him over and over again. But then I think his mentality is like it's okay because that's when Miracle and who was their carry player at the time? No Tail. Yeah, Miracle and No Tail can just like farm and they can have a free lane. And because Moon is really busy trying to make space. But then we catch him again here. So
that was a great play there by AU, just anticipating where he might time walk towards. This is on the stage now. This is on the stage, and this is the major crushing team. OG came off of winning Manila Major, actually. So, were there any nerves at all inside the booth going up against them?
Most definitely, not for me though. Because I remember when we talked about it with the team, the way that I built the team up was, I told them this is gonna be like an easy 2-0. Like I promise you guys, like it's like MVP did it, so can we? Because the reason why it's like our win rate versus MVP was actually probably one of the highest. We probably played 30 games and we would beat them 27, 28 of the times. It was, and MVP were one of the favorites like internationally, right? They played a lot of tournaments. They had some pretty good placements and they won a tournament as well. And the fact that like we're equal in terms of like sea level, like I felt like we were still comparable because they can beat certain teams and we can beat certain teams. And the way that they beat OG, it was it ended up being like a 2-1 score. And for us, it's like, for me, and I was like, well, they can 2-1 them. I feel we can 2-0 them. Like, just be confident in yourselves and believe in yourselves, and like we will do this. And that's the way like I really.
So that confidence booster was a very big thing. Like you really had to raise their morale in that way. Would you say?
Yeah, I just, for me, it's like you guys shouldn't give a shit about like who you guys are playing for. You guys are doing it for yourselves. Don't think about like, you shouldn't even worry about your family, your friends. It's like you are like in this moment now and just live it and enjoy it because you don't know how long this moment's gonna last.
Right.
And just play your best. OG, and it doesn't even have to be OG. Just think about it as another team. That's who they are, and this is how we're gonna play. And just play your own game. Play the TNC Dota that we all know.
A big part of your time as a captain is to really bring out that aggression, because if they start to overthink, well, this is OG, maybe they'll play a little bit more passively, more safely, and it just throws them off their game.
It was also difficult because it was their first time playing internationally on a big stage, and the biggest stage of them all, which was TI. And I told them, don't think about the money, don't think about anything, just play Dota. You guys just enjoy Dota like you guys always have. Nothing should change.
Right. So right now we're watching 30 minutes in. OG gets the Roshan, but they get ganked in the pit by TNC. Axe jumping in, and right now you've separated everyone. Crit's gonna die here to the right. Raven's gonna get a killing spree, and No Tail's gonna get cornered by Cuckoo. So, but after this game, 34 minutes in, 37 seconds. So let's go. All right.
Yeah. So we kind of smoked around, and this is where we kind of baited them, and like we kind of failed our smoke game because we were rushing for this drought. We realized the team was hitting their tier 2. We kind of had an idea they probably smoked, so we wanted to fight around our vision, bait them into our vision here. And as soon as they showed in their vision, like we know which hero to jump, which was the Void, I believe.
Right.
Oh no, we jumped the Drow actually.
Yeah. The Drow's the one to die first, and then fly.
And then he had his chrono wasn't the greatest there because he chronoed his Dusa as well. But Dusa, like they lose all of their damage once Drow dies, because the Enchantress, the Dusa does no damage once he's died, because he's went really passive items on Dusa first, and we ended up getting a really big. This is like probably the game-winning fight for us.
Right. You baited them into the vision. It was this wasn't the fake back moment. This was really just you guys sort of using context clues around the map. Found that you wanted to bring them into your vision line. So what was the communication like inside the booth for you guys? And what's communication like in general when you were in TNC?
There's a lot of Tagalog in there, but I remember just just bait them here, force them to come to us and fight, only fight in our vision. And no matter what happens, we're not going to leave this spot. Just fight, just bait them, and then like AU was like, I'm gonna bait them into us, and I was like, okay, because we had this idea and this is the play style already. We want to always fight with our vision. Whenever we smoke, we always have an obs, like these kinds of things, and it's what happened. Like AU baited them right into us. Like they 4-man came in, they broke the smoke, and then Sam H had a really good jump here.
Right, yeah, you jump in just at the exact middle of their formation. You isolate the Drow, and you just break two lanes apart off of that.
Another highlight, I don't think it actually shows in this game, was I remember I got a haste rune on like my hero, and I ran around their tier 1 on top, and I just circled around the area as like a complete joke. That's where you kind of call it classic Jimmy, right?
Right.
And I remember watching the replays, like I'm gonna force them, and they placed like 2 or 3 sentries, and they were just like they had no idea what was happening, and they couldn't find anything.
That's 400 gold right there. It's 400 gold wasted for them right there with just a single haste rune. So that's like you said, that's a classic Jimmy move right there. It's an example of it helping the team. Helping the team really well. So
and forced everyone to run up there at the same time. So
space created. In game 2, they bring it. Let's talk about the draft a little bit though. For the Filipino fans, people were just screaming they're just losing their fucking mind. I'm just gonna put that out there. Yeah. The moment the Huskar came out, people were going wild. The Mineski guys who were also there casting it, they were saying OG didn't do their homework because they didn't ban out the Huskar. What went into the circumstances of draft? Because you were the drafter.
Yeah, we were for sure already thinking Huskar, and then it was actually really funny in the booth because when we saw them ban Invoke, because we're like, no, we have to think something else because I'm for sure they're gonna ban this Huskar.
Right.
And I remember I talked to Moon after the game though, but then they banned Invoker instead. And when I remember in the booth when they banned it, we all started laughing. We kind of giggled to ourselves. I mean, Cuckoo has like his unique like sense of humor and his personality. It's always funny. He's like, "Do they really think I can play Invoker?" And then he has this like, this laugh that he was doing. Right. It's just like it was
sort of an inward laugh.
Yeah, it was just like it's just like chuckling to himself. These guys don't know us. They're like, see, and like, guys, this is gonna be an easy game here, but. This game was not easy, man. This was actually really hard.
This is really hard. So we're gonna go into the highlight right now. Shout outs to Noob from UA. So you're seeing it. OG, they're trying to, but Cuckoo finds a kill on Miracle in the mid lane.
That's probably the only thing that we did well this game. But as soon as they got their levels, like our lanes got completely wrecked. Our Drow Ranger had like 0 farm. Well, actually, he's farming right now, huh? 30 CS.
Yeah, but it's 5 minutes in.
Okay, just wait for it. They're just gonna run a huge train on us. I think this is where we all die here. Yeah. We kill him. We chase Moon. We get baited by him, but he isn't, because we can't see the iron shell on Fly either. Because you can see it's like.
Oh right, it's obscured by the
big
giant,
fat belly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Raven's about to die. Moon sort of lives and double kill.
The lanes were actually going good until this moment kind of happened for us, and I think it was just like a snowball effect. Cuckoo dies, and I think we die again here. We're trying to force like a tempo for us, and I think he revealed his Shadow Blade here as well on Tiny.
Right, and there you go. No Tail's gonna toss someone back there, instantly executing Raven. Miracle is on a killing spree, and it's kind of a chain feeder, is it? But you land a pretty good Chrono Spear.
Yeah, we landed a really good Chrono, but our 2 cores are already dead. Right. We have no damage. This Void was kind of like a support Void, or utility rather. He had his Vlads and Blink.
Right.
He's not gonna do damage.
Right. He's not there to right click people down. He's just there to set up the Huskar.
Yeah.
And there you go. Another one. Big vacuum on the back line there. And
Clutch Grave. Like at the same time, Clutch Grave or Clutch Chrono, and I don't know. Did we end up winning this? Oh, this is one. Yeah, this was our glimmer of hope. Now we're like, we got the Tiny, and then we started screaming. Like it was like 3:16 before that, and Huskar dies. But the fact that we killed Tiny, it felt really good for us. And we're like, we can still do this because they can't hit. They're not pushing our towers, and we're killing them still. Right. Kind of. We killed one guy. It's a proud. It's any little thing works now, especially when it comes to killing a core. Even if we killed a support, we'd be happy with.
Right.
It's pretty demoralizing at this point for all of us.
So any glimmer of hope there, and I think you managed to kill Miracle off.
Yeah.
So that's 765 for you guys, and then another one. So
we started cheering. Remember here, we started cheering like we got this, guys. We still win.
6:17 now, 21 minutes into the game, and OG trying to go for a smoke rotation, but they get gusted out of it by Raven.
Chronos, he said 6 seconds for Chrono here. He was communicating, I remember. He says, I'm gonna Chrono them all here.
And there you go, catches 3. So while you were here, obviously in a losing situation, right? How do you how do you communicate to your team once you're in a losing situation? How do you keep them focused on task?
Just play together. Every time something big happens, such as these moments here where we killed Miracle again, like everyone would get too excited, and me and AU would be the ones that constantly say like, relax guys, relax, just focus, because it's like you can't celebrate on one moment too much, and you dwell on it, and next thing you're not thinking about the next objective and the next step that you need to do to ultimately win the game.
Right. And here I think you land a swap there and you end up killing off Fly, but then Sam H also catches someone out here. So we're 14 to 23 now, and OG have just lost their second tier of towers.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Right here, I think we would just. This probably wasn't always the best play, but this is the kind of strategy that we always had. It's just like whenever we get a kill, we just 5-man and just go down mid, or go down top, whatever lane that we're in already, and just 5-man it. And we force everyone to always react, to come back. And most of the time it wouldn't work. I mean, I'm going to agree. I don't think this one ended up working out.
Right. OG's going to repel you guys out of it. And Cuckoo, however, is still alive.
Dieback on IO.
It's a dieback on IO, though. So you managed to force out a dieback from them, and No Tail is...
I think he's fine.
Is he fine?
Yeah. Drow ends up dying.
Right.
But Drow ends up dying, and I believe, if I remember, Cuckoo baits them into us, and I think Venge will buy back because he dies too, alongside with the Drow.
There you go. So,
wait for it.
There you go. Raven dies here.
But yeah, this game, it's like we had countless amount of times where we just ran down mid lane.
Right. So just ram into the same...
We never cared about the side lanes.
Right.
And just force a buyback, force a reaction, force them to all come, and we take this fight, and we always felt confident in winning it.
Right. So was that a deliberate thing, like not taking the side lanes because you wanted to force them to use their money, so sort of their gold lead is sort of cut down by them trying to react to you? Or
I think this idea was like we're kind of desperate and we just wanted to win. Like I said, I don't think it was the best idea, you know, knowing and playing for so like after this TI6 and like reflecting back on it, we could have taken a lot more safer routes on how to win this game. But you know, the fact that we came back and the fact that the fight seemed so easy, that if we're in front of their faces, we have our weave combo, we have our 2 saves, we have Chrono as a kind of a save as well, and like counter initiation. Like I think we just felt confident that we will win this fight, and that's the confidence that we had. And Dota, it's like a game of who's gonna make more mistakes, right? Like the fight already was in favor of OG. They kind of won the fight. They killed our core, but they chased this Huskar all the way down into our tier 2, and then we counter-initiated again, and we ended up winning the fight. So that trade ended up being worth it again. But if they didn't do that, they didn't bait. They just farmed the map, pushed the map in again. You know, maybe have better vision, and the game would be different.
Right. So what do you think was going on with OG there? Because again, right, like you mentioned, had they not done that, they would have had an easier path to maybe closing out this game. But because they did that, they actually gave you guys a way back in, because they were sort of a little overextended. You guys managed to take down the Tiny. What do you think was going on with them?
I don't know if they were...
Did you manage to talk to them about this game at all?
Of course not, because it's hard, because you know, we're the underdogs. I mean, even though I am friends with them, it's like it's such an awkward situation where it's like if you win in this kind of situation, it's like, what are you going to talk? And it feels like you're going to be bragging about it in a sense, right? And
so you don't necessarily want to do that.
And here in this situation, I remember, I think OG probably didn't feel like, or remember, because I think his BKB was new, or maybe Satanic, but he's like, Cuckoo even called this out. It's like, I'm gonna bait them with my BKB, and then we knew Tiny didn't have buyback here, so let's bait our Huskar and be ready for this. And they cannot burst. There's no way that they can burst him even with the Silver Edge. And yeah, at that time he didn't have buyback, and I don't remember what happened in between that, but we wasted more time. It's like, here it is again. You know, just go down mid. They don't have buyback, so let's do this. And all of our cores have buyback, so it's completely fine.
Right, there you go. So I think this might be the. Are these the final moments of the match? Yes, this is the final moment.
Are they going in for the GG push?
There you go. Do you watch old commentaries of your game? Do you listen to like other analysts, what they talk about in particular games that you remember?
Not really, and this is probably like one of the very few. Like obviously, when you have like a super great or epic moment, like such as this one, then yeah, if you want to, you of course want to hear like what happened and how the upset happened and what the commentators are thinking about. And I was just, I think Raven was crying here, and I was just like, I felt really proud of.
There you go. There's your hug.
Yeah.
There's your hug. So we're gonna close that out on this clip. I think after this moment, you guys went on. You guys would sadly lose out, I believe, in the next round. We're watching
Against
OG.
DC. Yeah, it was really
Against DC.
unfortunate. This ended up being like 1-2. I think one of the games, the draft was kind of not well, and the other game was like we laned wrong, and that ended up hurting us pretty much.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think he really wanted to hug me, just because.
Right. After this season was over, you went off to Fnatic,
Yes.
and then Onyx, and then that became DC. Looking back into your career, any sort of last thoughts just watching all of these clips?
I mean, it's refreshing to see, how I had a lot of ups and downs and a lot of successful and unsuccessful moments in my career. I mean, of course, there's a lot of, you can't really have regrets, but the only thing you can do is like move forward and better yourself, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna do my best, and I hope I can make the same run I did back in TNC the last time I was here in C with the Filipino squad, and I hope I can do it again, because the team that I'm on, they're really good guys, and they're a good team, and they have an immense amount of potential.
All right. I was actually going to ask, how do you feel about Admiral right now, just as we're about to play out?
I feel good about them. I mean, I think they have they're all very high skilled. It's just about a lot of the times we lose, it's like we lose to ourselves more than anything else, and just being more disciplined and having more focus is ultimately like our team's both strength and weakness.
Right. Yeah. I mean, thank you very much for joining us today, Jimmy Demon Ho, for joining us today on Film Room. And I believe that I am in the position, that is my vested right as a priest of Dota here in Southeast Asia to confer you the title of captain. You are now officially Captain Demon, because I think that is how the Filipino fans will remember you. You brought TNC to TI6. Now you're going to hopefully bring Admiral to some success. Captain of Admiral. That's a really strange mix, though. Thank you for joining us for Film Room, man.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you for having me again.
All right, so that's it for Film Room today. Hope you guys learned something. It's a very info-heavy and history-heavy episode for us. We'll see you guys next time.